Welcome back to this video on the CAGED system on the guitar. One of the main things we're trying to do is just understand up the neck, how to build chord shapes, particularly up the neck. One of the very first things we mentioned in this series is the CAGED system means, one of the meanings or definitions of it is that there's 5 ways to build every chord. So there should be 5 ways to build a C chord. One of those 5 ways includes its traditional open shape. Now, how can we build 4 more types of C chords up the neck? That's what this video is for. This video is for the C chord specifically. So let's jump right in. In order to find additional ways of playing the same chord and other shapes up the neck, you have to understand that we're building the chords from the bass note. If you can get that concept that it starts with a fundamental bass note and then you could say builds from there, you'll better be able to approach it. That's the first question to ask yourself. So we're trying to find more C chords. First of all, if you want to explore this by yourself, maybe pause the video and think, can I build more C chords besides in the open position, meaning this traditional C shape? After that, and any kind of additional C's I know in that position, do I know any other C's? Feel free to pause the video and explore that and think about it. But I'm just going to keep going. So the C chord, C shape, is built off of this C note right here. We have that note memorized. G, A, B on top, C, D, E on the second string. So that's a C note. So there's our connection to the bass note for C in its open position. We know where C note is, and we know how to build a C shape from that C bass note. One of the things we've mentioned many times, in order to build C chords and A chords, they both can be built from the same bass note, meaning C shape, C chord, C note, A shape. So this is our other way of building a C chord using an A shape. Here's the A, and here's its bass note. We didn't look for any bass notes. We didn't get distracted by all these other notes in order to find our C. We focused on where's the bass note, and we built it from there. So there's another C chord. Barred shape and the A shape, open shape, C chord. So real quick, I'm going to use my capo as well to kind of help us discuss that. We found our C bass note. I'm going to put a capo there and build that A shape. So Timmy over here is playing open C. I'm over here throwing a capo on here and playing A shape, playing a C chord. So we're both playing the same chord, slightly different flavor, but it's the same exact notes. Just C's, E's, and G notes. All right, so we can build C and A shape chords based on the same bass note. That's on the second string. So we've got 2, there and there. Okay, what we have to do is we want to find another C chord. We need to find a C note on the top string or the second string, but we've already found 2 from the second string. So now we're going to go to our top string and the goal is to find a C note. If we can find that C note on the top string, then we can build a chord from it. All right, one of the videos previously, hopefully you're following along in the series. This is a series where we build on these concepts. We have G, A, B memorized. I'm trying to find a C note. G, A, B. Nope, there's not a C in there. B, what's after B? C. Remember, we talked about B doesn't have a sharp. After B is C. So 3rd, 5th, 7th, 8th fret, I have a C note. Okay, we have our bass note. Now we want to build a chord from there. The E shape and the G shape are both built from the same bass note. They're both built on the top string, you could say. Once you find your note, you can build either a G shape on that note, where my 3rd finger is, or I can build a E shape on that same note, right? So there's our other 2, but let's explore that a little bit more. We get confused a lot of times if I want to play a G shape, I'm like, I like to play G and C and D and E minor, right? And I want to play in this song that requires like maybe the key of C, but I want to play G shapes. Hopefully that makes sense. If I want to play a G shape, I don't put a capo there at that fret. Why? Because that moves my bass note to a different place. That's not a C note. That was the C note. So I have to capo accordingly so that when I land my G shape, it ends up on that C note. And so that's the same chord I was playing a second ago where we're barring it, okay? I've mentioned multiple times, we don't play this big old G-shaped chord very often or ever. I mean, I rarely go to that full thing. I'm going to capo it or I'm going to pick a different shape. All right? So if I want to play a G shape for that C chord, I'm going to capo 5, throw my shape up there. If I want to play an E shape, I can go to that note. Why? Because E shape's bass note is, we don't fret the bass note. The bass note comes from the top, and we build a chord from there, like in our open position. E chord, E bass note, and every time I use that shape somewhere else, I bring that bass note with me, this open one. I'm gonna go all the way up to that C note. Boom, capo. Either capo there, right, or I'm gonna bar it, right? There's another C note. There's our G and E shapes. Our C shape of a C chord and our A shape of a C chord. Now it leaves one more. It's the odd one out. It's that D shape. Well, what we have to do is, now this wouldn't be a good idea to utilize in a song, but we're still gonna follow through with it just so we can do the exercise and learn how to find it. The D shape chords are built on the third string, remember? The third string, like when I play an open D chord, we got that third string down from the top as our bass note. So we have to find a G note on this string in order to build the D shape off of it. Because we want to find our bass note and build a shape from that. Well, where can we find a C note? Gosh, I don't know. No. Well, if you remember the 2 down, 2 over rule, the 2 down, 2 over rule is, well, if I know that that's a C up top, if I know that that's a C up top, which we just talked about, I can go 2 strings down, 2 frets up, and there will be an octave. 2 down, 2 over rule is an octave of the same note. So there is a C note. Now you're like, well, okay, how does that apply to my D shape? Well, there's my bass note, okay? If we take this all the way back down to D, okay, we have to keep this shape as we go all the way up to that note. So there is my bass note, and this is where the chord is gonna go. The chord isn't gonna go back there anywhere where that was. I need to bring it 2 frets up, because back here, it started 2 frets up from the open string. So way up here is where my D shape would be when that's its bass note. Again, I said we wouldn't really play that chord probably. I mean, maybe we could capo way up there on the 10th fret where we said that C note was, and build a D shape, and we get a C chord. Okay? Probably not going to do that. This is why knowing how to build multiple versions of the same chord comes in handy, because you'd go, I don't want to do that. I need to find some other way, right? If you can find out how to play it in another way. So there was our 5 ways we make the chord. The C chord. Open position C, C shape, same bass note, build the A shape. We know that this up top is a C note. We can build an E shape. And we can do a G shape, which rarely is done, but you can capo there on the 5th fret and build your C chord. And then 2 down, 2 over, we get another octave of that same C note, and we can build a D shape from there. That would work handy for a lead guitar player. right? But maybe if I'm a jangly, strummy guy, I probably wouldn't do that. But it would be super handy for a lead player to know that that C chord is up there. And we can find it going through those little tricks in our mind's eye. Where in my mind's eye, I see the C, I go down 2 frets, I go down 2 strings, I go up 2 frets. I see my D shape of that C chord. Okay. I hope that was helpful. In the next video, we're going to talk about 5 ways to play an A major chord. I hope you'll join me on that next video and keep following along in this series. Make sure you spend plenty of time practicing and thinking about these concepts before you go too quickly through these videos. My name is Jacob Paul with Inside Out Online, and I'll see you on that next one.